in sports will be coming your way with the sports senator, Fashi Manuel, and at 10, it'll be time for Ringside with Lawrence Omorte. For now, let's see what's happening across Africa. The report has it and contact of infected individuals as a way of responding to a new Ebola outbreak in DRC, particularly the Kasai province. Remember that an initial 400 doses of the Avebo Ebola vaccine have been delivered to Balupe, the epicenter of the outbreak, from a national stockpile of about 2,000 doses. The International Coordinating Group of Vaccine Provision has approved the shipment of an atlas to help contain the spread. This new trend, according to the report, is even worse than what we have had before. The outbreak was declared earlier this month of September, and it's DRC's very first in 3 years. WHO Program Area Manager Patrick Otim has warned that the outbreak could expand, especially after a case was confirmed 70 kilometers from Bulape. And he also cited a moderate risk of cross-border spread, particularly to neighboring country Angola. And what is out of DRC to Angola, that may just be the beginning of something we don't want to experience. Anyway, the WHO Program Area Manager, Otim, also emphasized the urgency of the situation, and he has warned that delays in response could make containment even more difficult. Well, aid workers so far have expressed concern over reduced foreign assistance and weakened international support structure. But for now, there has been an additional 400 doses delivered to the area, and it's even to add to the 2,000 doses that already were on ground. From the WHO, cholera deaths have been reported to be up by 50%. Well, it rose compared to the previous year. So the WHO statistics also showed that reported cases of cholera were up by 5%. Death rose by 50%, and reported cases rose by 5%. In all, nearly 560,000 infections were reported across 60 countries and regions across the world. More than 6,000 people died from the disease. Now, cast your mind back to 2023, cholera was reported in just 45 countries and regions. Now, we're seeing the reports of 60 countries recording cholera. Most cases were reported from Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, and that collectively cumulated to about 98% of infections. The case fatality ratio for Africa increased from 1.4% in 2023 to 1.9% the previous year, that's of 2024. Conflict, climate change, population displacement, long-term deficiencies in water, sanitation, hygiene infrastructure are some of the reasons why the continent is recording a rise of the disease. Preliminary data also shows that the global cholera crisis continues into 2025. 31 countries and regions have reported outbreaks since the beginning of the year, and this is a charge to every stakeholder to not let their oars down, because cholera is a deadly disease. Earlier on, the news broke of Burkina Faso declaring that it is now a country that every African national can travel to without a visa. Ouagadougou says it's waiving fees on entry visas for citizens across the continent. Once you're African and you're coming in from Africa, you can travel to Burkina Faso without a visa. Now, the only requirement for Africans wanting to visit Burkina Faso is to fill out an online form and have the application approved. Once the application is approved, you can pack your bags and be on your way to Burkina Faso. Now, until now, a tourist visa was quite affordable. It was less than $100. A business visa run for about $165. That's about 93,500 CFAs. The country's Ministry of Security, the Minister of Security, Mahamudu Sana, said the measure was aimed at strengthening the historic bonds of brotherhood between African people and is part of a Pan-Africanist agenda of interim President Ibrahim Traore. He also added that the move would also help to boost tourism to Burkina Faso and to also promote Burkinabe culture and improve, Burkina Faso's visibility abroad. But it's also very important to stress that free does not mean exempt. All right, Africans will no longer have to pay for their visas. Visas have not been abolished, and the visitor still have to obtain a valid visa in order to enter the country. If you're not African, you need to obtain a valid visa. But if you're African, you still need your application to be approved first before you can enter into the country. But as it stands now, it's visa-free for all African nationals. From Congo as a boat capsized and killed about 86 people, and most of them students. The news agency in Congo reported that the accident occurred last week in the Basankusu territory and that most of the victims were students. Well, it was not immediately clear what caused the accident, although state media attributed it to improper loading and night navigation. There have been images released, and those images appear to be from the scene, and it showed villagers gathered around bodies as they mourned. The capsizing of boats is becoming increasingly prevalent in, parts of African countries. We've had our share from Nigeria here, and also some other parts of African countries. Life jackets are usually not found, when these cases are reported, they are rare, and the vessels are usually overloaded. But many of the boats also travel at night. At least the one that was reported in Congo was traveling at night, and that complicates rescue efforts during accidents, and many bodies are also unaccounted for because they're declared missing and may never be found. So just paying condolences to the people of Congo and everyone that may have been affected by this accident. It's Citizen FM 93.7, and we're looking at news across Africa until 8 when we begin to see headline news across Nigeria. Stay with us, I am Didi. When we return from the break, we'll be taking this report from Malawi, where farmers are turning to AI to boost their yields. Everyone is getting creative now. Let's see what we can learn from that.
Hello, Abuja. You are listening to 93.7 Citizen FM, the latest radio station based in Nigeria's capital. Our station seeks to broadcast a broad mix of culture and views with priority given to development programming to enable residents share ideas and opinions, music and drama. At Citizen FM, we believe in progressive talk, and our aim is to build a united Nigeria by bringing people of diverse culture together through communication. Enjoy listening to 93.7 Citizen FM. We are more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
Need a lift? Feeling low, bored, or confused? No? Here is what to do. Women's Corner is waiting just for you. education, work, lifestyle, career, mentorship, and family too. We will solutions and see you through. Finding your voice, reaching high, and making an impact. Women's Corner, where knowledge can fly. Join us every Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. for inspiring stories and practical advice to reach all your glories. It's Women's Corner on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja.
Oh, my people, make una come gather here. Which kind of una one year on top radio? When did they catch fire on top social media? Bring them on top, make we talk for Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Every Monday, go reach Thursday, and the time now 5:10, will be 10 minutes after 5. Make we talk and see the be.
Welcome back, 7:47 a.m. We're taking news across Africa. In Malawi, farmers have been embracing new technology to help them to boost their yields and to adapt to climate change. Guess what? It's an AI chat box. Some 180,000 rural households are using this chat box. Among them is somebody who was interviewed by African News, Alex Mayeri. He said, when we joined the AI group, we rented farming fields and cultivated various crops, including maize. We've been harvesting enough. Even though there have been challenges, we've registered success because we've been selling the maize. I also get some money and invested in production of tomatoes, which gives me hope for success. Now, the great thing is that according to the report, residents are still grappling with the aftermath of Cyclone Fred in 2023. So this was just like perfect timing. This, innovation was like perfect timing. So with farmers struggling with the impact of the cyclone as well as drought, the government has agreed to back the AI chat box. And so far so good. It has been recorded across parts of Malawi that they are getting the yields and making a lot more money. And of course, we must mention the food security that is even more assured for the people of Malawi, and just, tilting towards AI and, new trends. That can even be adopted in agriculture, and that is just fantastic. And from Malawi, we come to neighboring Benin Republic, where the former president Boni Yayi has ruled out a return to power. Said he may not run again. He's saying that he was only available as an elder to help ensure peace, stability, and democracy. There was a video that was released on Friday last week where he stressed the need for dialogue. If you remember before now, there were speculations in Benin that Yayi may run for presidency again. Remember, he served as president between 2006 and 2016, like 10 years straight. Well, the Constitution of Benin prohibits any former president who has already served 2 terms from returning to power. And the ruling party has picked Romuald Wadagni, who is the current Minister of Finance, to replace Patrick Talon, who is the outgoing president, by the way. So what happened was that there were concerns that Talon would attempt to change the Constitution in order to seek a 3rd term. But there hasn't been any move in that direction yet. So, coming April 2026, there will be fresh elections. They'll return to the poll to cast their votes. But for now, former President Boni has said no. He has no plans whatsoever to run for president again. Equatorial Guinea, they're not so excited about this latest report we have from the country because they lost the latest round in the long-running battle with France over a Paris mansion that is valued at more than $100 million. Well, the United Nations Top Court has rejected the request by Equatorial Guinea to force the return of that Paris mansion that was seized by France as part of a corruption investigation into the son of the president. Equatorial Guinea asked the court for a series of urgent orders known as provisional measures, and they were all aimed at returning the mansion on one of the French capital's most prestigious streets. They wanted to return it to Equatorial Guinea and to stop France from selling the building. Anyway, the president on Friday said that Equatorial Guinea has not demonstrated that it has a plausible right to the return of the building. Iwasawa is the presiding judge, actually, UG Iwasawa, that's the full name. He said by 13 votes to 2, the court rejected the request for the indication of provision measures that was submitted by the Republic of Equatorial Guinea. They submitted this request since July 3, 2025. Now, lawyers for France strongly rejected the need for provisional measures. They told the judges that no sale was imminent and the dispute should be resolved via negotiation. In fact, they said the request constitutes yet another abusive maneuver by Equatorial Guinea. It was France's agent, Diego Colas, who told the court during a hearing in July that it constituted yet another abusive maneuver by Equatorial Guinea. Anyway, as it stands now, it's been thrown out. They're not revisiting it anymore. Well, who knows? Anything can happen, right? Fingers crossed on that. And out of the last story we're taking today on news across Africa, US, Egypt and North Africa, Saudi Arabia, UAE, have put forward a roadmap for peace in Sudan. In a joint statement, foreign ministers of the Quad countries called for a 9-month transitional process following the truce. And why? They said is to establish civilian-led governance. Here is what one of them had to say. He said, there is no viable military solution to the conflict, and the status quo creates unacceptable suffering and risk to peace and security. If you remember, Sudan has been engulfed by civil war since 2023, April particularly, when tensions between the armed forces and paramilitary RSF erupted into open warfare. Well, the fighting has created one of the world's considered worst humanitarian crisis, with more than 40,000 people killed. Remember, I've mentioned this before on News Across Africa, that about 12 million people have been displaced, although some of them have had to return to their country, but they only return to, burns and ruins, and they're trying to, get their lives back. So as a way of intervention, the United States, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and United Arab Emirates, they've put forward a proposal for a 3-month humanitarian truce in Sudan following a permanent ceasefire. And that's all we can say today on News Across Africa. Thank you for staying with us. Do not go away, because at 8 we'll be flipping the papers and we'll be seeing what's trending across Nigeria. We have headlines from Vanguard,